Long ago, in the city of Baghdad, there lived a poor man named Sinbad. One hot day, while resting outside a great house, he smelled delicious food and heard music and laughter. Curious, he asked a servant whose house it was. "This belongs to Sinbad the Sailor," the servant replied, "a man who has traveled the seas and grown very rich." Sinbad sighed, "How unfair life is. I work so hard, yet I remain poor, while others live in luxury." When Sinbad the Sailor heard these words, he invited Sinbad inside. He welcomed him with food and drink, and said, "Do not think I gained my fortune easily. Let me tell you the story of my 7 voyages, filled with hardship, danger, and wonder." Sinbad told how he once set sail with merchants, carrying goods to faraway lands. One day, they landed on what seemed to be an island. But soon the earth trembled. It was no island at all, but the back of a giant sea creature. With a great roar, the beast dived beneath the waves, and many men drowned. Sinbad clung to a piece of wood and drifted until he reached a real island. There he met the king, who treated him kindly and gave him riches. Eventually, Sinbad returned safely to Baghdad, wealthier than before. Restless, Sinbad set sail again. This time, he was stranded on another island filled with strange animals. There he encountered a giant bird called the Roc. Its egg was bigger than a house. Hoping to escape, Sinbad tied himself to the bird's leg, and the Roc carried him high into the sky. It dropped him into a deep valley filled with diamonds, but also with giant snakes. Clever merchants later rescued him, and Sinbad returned home with jewels. On his third adventure, Sinbad was captured by cannibals. They planned to eat him, but Sinbad escaped and found his way to another kingdom. There, he traded goods wisely and earned treasures before sailing back to Baghdad once more. In his 4th voyage, Sinbad's ship was attacked by pirates. He was taken prisoner and sold into slavery to a wealthy master. But with cleverness and bravery, he won his freedom and returned with gifts and gold. In his 5th voyage, he once again encountered the Great Roc. This time, the bird attacked his ship in anger, dropping massive rocks from the sky. Many sailors perished, but Sinbad survived with only a few companions, eventually finding his way home with new treasures. By his 6th journey, Sinbad was older and wiser. Yet still he longed for adventure. On this voyage, storms wrecked his ship, and he lost nearly everything. Still, he managed to reach another island, where he was welcomed by a generous king who shared his wealth. On his final voyage, Sinbad was shipwrecked once again. But fortune favored him. He discovered a hidden land filled with riches beyond imagination. After many trials, he returned to Baghdad for the last time, deciding never to sail again. Sinbad looked at Sinbad and said, "Now you see, my riches were not given easily. They came through hardship, courage, and the will to survive. That is why I share my wealth with those in need, so that others may live more easily than I did." From that day forward, Sinbad was no longer bitter. He worked faithfully for Sinbad, and both men lived in peace, their lives forever changed by the 7 voyages of Sinbad the Sailor. That's the end of today's story. If you liked it, press the like button and subscribe.